Hello and welcome to the Sony Alpha ZV-E10 tutorial presented by CFRC. My name is Aidan and I'm going to be walking you guys through the tutorial. So getting into it. So today the primary focus is going to be talking about the ZV-E10 camera. It's designed for content creators, vloggers, and filmmakers. It is versatile, compact, and lightweight, and it comes with a lot of awesome settings. And this video or tutorial is structured so anybody with no camera experience can come in, pick it up, and get comfortable filming stuff in CFRC immediately. So for the session overview, slides 4 to 7, I'll talk about the controls. Slides 8 to 13 will be the setup and the recommended settings, and then slides 14 to 16 audio, slide 17 external equipment, and then slides 18 and 19 will be the conclusion. So the controls on top, lots of basic stuff going on. We begin with our on and off button, pretty straightforward. If you want to turn the camera on, turn that button right. Then we have our video record button. So this is for your video and slow motion mode only. It will start and stop your film. And how do you choose what setting you're in terms of whether it's photo, video, or slow-mo? You click this button here, and on the main screen, which I'll talk about later on in this video, it'll tell you what mode you're in. Then up here we have our zoom rocker. This is a small black dial that rocks back and forth, and as you move it left or right, it changes the zoom. So and in doing so, when you change the zoom, the camera lens will either extend or contract. And then if you're in the photo mode, this is the shutter button for photos. We have got the defocus mode here, the aperture dial, and then over here, this rectangular grid looking thing is the audio input, and that's if you don't have any type of external microphone attached to your camera, and this is your audio attachment location. The controls on the back, we've got the complete function menu, which is this guy up here, menu, the quick function menu, FN, our scroll wheel with a bunch of different settings. Like any scroll wheel, the button in the middle is to select, and then we've got our delete down here and our view media button right here. And please note that when you're in any of the camera settings, menu or FN, and you want to come back to the main screen, you click that button again. Next, the controls on the side. So here we have got our audio input jack up here, our charging port down here. This is a smaller media attachment cable, or media attachment port, I mean. So here you can project your media to a bigger screen. And then here is your audio output jack. So if you had headphones with an aux cord, you could plug it in here and then pick up audio as you're filming. Next are the controls on the bottom. So this little blue clip acts as the battery holder. You push it left to release and the battery just pops right out. This is your battery. Your SD card is kind of hard to see, but it's tucked away in there. And this door will just pop open. So it's pretty pop open when you want it to open. There's a small little thing that you push. Pretty intuitive. And then lastly is your mount screw, and this is so you can hook it up to any type of tripod or gimbal. Okay, so getting into the settings. So the way that I've structured these next kind of 5 slides is I give a methodology on selecting a setting, and this is so when you have the camera in hand, with this video likely would help, but even just having these slides, it's easy to navigate the settings on the camera. So essentially, there are 2 primary settings, or 2 primary menus that you're going to be operating out of. And these ones were talked about in slide, in one of the previous slides. We've got menu or FN. So menu is going to hold all your settings, and FN is going to be your quick setting function. And essentially the way that I am telling you to do commands is I will first begin by putting an M or an FN, and then there will be, if it's an M, there's going to be two numbers, and these numbers are the tab number up top, so you can see in the menu there's 5 tabs, or the page number down low. So in each tab there's a bunch of different pages, and then lastly I'll tell you what the what setting I'm telling you to change is. So in this case, for this command, this is menu, the first tab, the first page, soft skin effect off. And as you can see, that's just outlined there. As an example, the current recommendation that I have up on this screen here would be M23 audio level display on. So as we can see, we're in the main menu, 2 as in second tab, 3 indicating third page, audio level display on. And the next 10 to 14 slides, I'm going to give recommended functions to you in this format. So that was when you were going from the main menu. If you're going from the quick function menu, it's a little bit simpler. The quick function menu, hence quick, only has 10 settings. So when I am recommending a setting that you change from the quick function menu, I just indicate this by putting FN, and then I tell you exactly what to do. So for example, in this one, this is FN shoot mode manual. So you go to FN, you'd find which one of these options is shoot mode. You can navigate through the camera using this scroll wheel here. Once you find shoot mode, you would click on it and then you choose manual. And all of the quick function settings are in the main menu, but some of the commands I'm going to give to you from the quick function menu because it's faster to do. Okay, so in the settings, if we choose the automatic shoot mode, which can be found by going FN shoot mode intelligent, and this is denoted with an I next to the camera, it means that it's going to do all your camera settings for you. So what that means is shutter, ISO, aperture, colors, white balance, they're all done for you. This setting would be recommended for a complete beginner, but that said, if you do set up your settings manually, you can usually get a better shot than the automatic shooting mode. But if you are in a rush or you don't feel comfortable setting up all those settings, but it is pretty easy, then I recommend shooting in this mode. Next is the manual shooting mode. So the big thing here is that you have access to control 3 main settings, and I mentioned these on the last slide: shutter, ISO, and aperture. So essentially, the shutter speed controls how long the sensor is exposed to light. A faster speed will freeze motion versus a slower speed will create motion blur. And to change the shutter speed, you use the scroll wheel on the back of the camera. If you reference slide 5, you will see what I mean. Yeah, and when you are going to set up the camera, I recommend referencing this video and also these slides. Oftentimes in the recording of this video, I am referencing past slides, so it would be handy for you just to have the PowerPoint up. Yeah, the next one is ISO, and this adjusts the camera's sensitivity to light. So a low ISO is best for bright conditions, but a high ISO is best for dark conditions. And to change the ISO, you right click on ISO on the scroll wheel. If you don't know what the scroll wheel is, please reference slide 5 and select. And then lastly, we've got aperture. And aperture controls how much light enters through the lens of the camera. A lower number gives a blurry background, whereas a higher number keeps more in focus. To change aperture, turn the aperture dial. This dial is on the top of the camera. If you need to go and check where that is, please reference slide 4. Okay, so continuing with some of the manual recommended settings, we have our white balance. How do we get there? We go quick function menu, AWD, and then you choose based off the setting. So in that setting, they've got like inside, outside, cloudy, sunny, etc. So essentially you are going to, if you're shooting it in manual mode, then these settings you should set up. So for the white balance, choose this based on your setting. And you can confirm your choice with the which indicates your light meter. It is displayed at the bottom of the middle screen. Yeah, you will see a kind of flashing number at the bottom middle of the camera screen, and it's going to be positive or negative, and that is indicating your light meter. A negative number indicates too dark, a positive number indicates too bright. You want to aim for a range between 0 and 1, which means that your ideal case would be to get it right on 0, but if you can't get to that point for whatever reason, you would rather your shot be too light versus too dark. The recommended autofocus setting you can change by going to the quick function menu, focus area, and wide. Wide would be recommended for beginners, but if you have, like, for example, if your camera is set up and it's going to be stationary and you know that you want to focus on a certain area of your shot, for example, like the top right corner, because you know that you'll have somebody's face there talking, then you can go in to the focus area and you can put it on manual and then select where you'd like the focus to be on the camera. And then if we look at the recommended color profile, this is for photos only. We go to the quick function menu, creative style, and portrait or landscape both work out well. And then lastly, this one was the display on an earlier slide when I talked about the full menu methodology. This is to turn the soft skin effect off. Okay, so continuing with some of the manual settings, we have got recommended file type and size. So from here we access it by going to the main menu, tab 2, first page, file format. You either got HD or 4K. So 4K will give you maximum detail and flexibility, but HD is faster for editing, smaller file size, and more compatible if you're pairing it with other media. Next, I'm going to talk about aspect ratio. Here, same thing, full menu, first tab, first page, choose your aspect ratio. You want to choose it based on where you'll be displaying this media. So Instagram versus YouTube versus a TV, they've all got different aspect ratios. So you want to make sure wherever this shot is going that you match that aspect ratio. And then for slow motion, there are two options. The first one is to shoot in the S&Q setting. So if you refer back to earlier in this, you'll see on the top of the camera where or how to get into the S&Q setting. And that will slow the footage right from when you shoot. But then the second option is to slow the footage afterwards, and that is post-processing. So for the first option, if you're shooting in S&Q, how you want to, or there are two things that you have to be aware of. You get there first off by going to the full menu, the second tab, the first page, S&Q settings, record setting, and frame rate. So essentially, The record setting is what the camera will shoot at, but the frame rate is what the shot will be slowed down to. So even though this is the slow motion setting, it could also act as a time-lapse setting too. If your record setting is less than your frame rate, then your shot is slowed down. If your record setting is greater than your frame rate, your shot will be sped up. And then lastly, for doing time lapses, you've got some different options. You can do what I was just saying, where your record setting is larger than your frame rate. You can speed up your footage afterwards, which is post-processing. Or your third option would be a photo interval shooting, which actually will give you the highest quality shot. Essentially what you do is you set the camera up and you can just take reoccurring photos on a certain time, and then your photos come out crisper than your video, and then it pushes them all together. But I'm not really going to get into that now, just because that's kind of out of the scope for the radio station. Okay, audio. So the recommended, here are some recommended audio settings. From the full menu, we go to the second tab, the third page, and we turn the wind noise reduction off. And then next, from the quick function menu, we go to the audio record level. So essentially, what this is if you've got any type of external audio on your system, you'll see it's picking up, and your audio level is displayed on these two channels. We've got CH1 and CH2 down here. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to mess around with talking loudly into the camera, or talking as loud as you think the shot you're going to be shooting is going to hear, and then ensuring that these channels don't hit the red. So essentially, if you, on this microphone right here, if you crank this number a lot by pressing this plus, then your microphone is going to pick up very sensitive things. But for example, if you're at a concert and there's gonna be a lot of sound, a lot of really loud noise, a lot of people clapping, cheering, then you want to turn this down so you don't reach that level. So this essentially, you are telling the camera what limit of audio, or what range of audio the microphone should be picking up. Okay, so for the microphones that we have access to, we've got a shotgun mic, which is a directional sound pickup. It captures audio in front while reducing side and rear noise. It doesn't totally cut out noise from the side or rear, but it definitely reduces it. It's ideal for interviews and vlogs. It's superior to the camera's built-in mic. And as you can see, it attaches in, just in the previous slide when I showed the top of the camera, we saw the audio attachment location, and it plugs into the audio input jack. And the next is a wireless mic. So with the wireless mic, we've got the actual microphone and then the receiver. The receiver attaches to the top of the camera, plugs into the audio input jack, and then through radio waves connects with the microphone. And it's got a pretty good range, I believe up to 50 feet, but this is great for, interviews if you're on the street interviewing people. But it's definitely more of a one-to-one situation. I mean, I guess I've got some of the benefits down here: improved mobility, reliable connection, and again, it's a better option than the built-in microphone. So the external equipment, if you are shooting with a camera as just built-in mic, then we recommend putting on the windscreen. It attaches to the audio attachment location and just helps reduce some of the wind. This is the camera bag. For storage, we recommend left compartment put in the audio gear, right compartment put in the camera. Always be sure to put the lens cover back on the camera before storage. This is a tripod. This all belongs in Chancellor's office. If you did wish to use it, just reach out to him. He's super easy going. He can let you know if it's available and when you can come in and pick it up and use it for your for your shot. Here are some resources and references. Thank you.